Dustin Lee, welcome to the SAINTCON Hallway.
Thanks, Pope. Good to be here.
This is your first SAINTCON?
It is, yes, and I'm enjoying every bit of it.
What's the initial thoughts? What's the, here's what I think is awesome, doing well. Here's some things I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, so first off, the weather. It's been great. It's just like I go out in the morning and walk around. There's a really good little kolache place right up the street, and so I'll pick up some of those. And, yeah, just kind of enjoy the weather in this time of year. And then here, like, everyone is just so open. Everyone is so just accepting at the soldering stations, you know, up at the talks, third floor. Just every aspect of this has been welcoming, inviting. And, like, what I didn't expect was the hardware aspect of it. I guess you and I have never really talked about that. I've never asked. I was expecting more of a traditional InfoSec conference for the most part, and I'm enjoying that. You know, on the second floor, hitting some talks and even being able to speak this year. So I was grateful for that. But also getting into like all the different little areas around the first floor here, and just how everyone is so excited on every aspect. Right, getting the little mini badges and that whole community. It's just been awesome. So.
Awesome. October in Utah, we got a lucky week because sometimes it's snowing.
Yeah, well, so tomorrow I think is 45 and 27 is what the weather calls for.
Welcome to the mountains. It's going to flip on you in a minute.
It's first time in Utah as well. So
yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
First Utah thoughts?
Yeah. I told
Get some fry sauce yet?
No, I told Grifter, I said, you know, I should have looked at real estate years ago out here or something. Just to, you know, it's great. It's beautiful.
You got to wait till the winters before you can decide that.
That's fair. That is very fair. You know me. I'm. You know, for those that may not know, I'm a car guy as well. So whenever I left the airport, I actually went down by. There's a very reputable restoration shop right off of State Street, and so I got to go by Ken Diggett Designs. Bitchin' Rides is the name of the show on Discovery, I believe, or Motor Trend. But I stopped by that shop and then got to come down here to Provo. And like there hasn't been a moment where I've thought, like, you know, there's not something I necessarily care for here or there. Like, it's been just amazing, and I've loved it. So,
you have a handle.
Yes.
What's your handle?
Unmitigated risk.
And was this earned, assigned, given, other?
So it was a military class that I was in at this point 11 years ago, over a decade ago, and we were taking all kinds of classes and stuff throughout this course. And one of the key classes was about vulnerability management and information security management and risk mitigation. And so I was thinking about it during class, and then we did some Xbox stuff as well. So we were playing Xbox Live back then, and I didn't even have a handle. So we were there for 6 months at this class. And anyway, so long story short, a couple of guys started saying, because I was always talking about that, like this whole risk, threat, vulnerability, all this, and we're talking about exploits, and we're talking about, so it all kind of came down to hacker handles and us bestowing them on each other, and I got unmitigated risk. So.
Do you think it's a true statement today?
Yeah.
So a good handle.
I hate to answer a question with a question, but do you think it is? Like,
depends on the scenario.
It also depends on the level of caffeine, I guess, when we get on calls and stuff too.
How many times I repeat my question?
Yeah. There's thresholds and triggers for sure. But yeah, like I think it's appropriate, and at any point. So.
So information security.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? What was the, I'm going to go hack things, or what was the, obviously you clearly had a life and previous things, and I even know you had some tech things, but what was that transition to information security? Well,
so even early on, when Joe was giving the keynote yesterday, it brought back some memories of childhood where, for my birthday one year, I got this. It wasn't remote controlled. It actually had levers on the top of this Bigfoot four-wheel drive motorized, battery operated thing. And I'm from Louisiana, and it's mud riding and all this. So I took I made a little mud puddle in my yard, and I was taking this thing back and forth through it and got it all muddy. And then came time to clean it off, because you always wash your vehicle after you get it muddy. So I sprayed it off with a water hose and just ruined it on my birthday, like after I'd got this thing. And I said, well, I want to fix this. And so I started taking it apart and got into the internals of it. And, spoiler alert, I didn't fix it. It was toast. But I enjoyed doing that. And later on, my mom saw that I had an affinity for things of that nature, and so did one of my teachers, my science teacher in elementary, going into middle school. And her husband was a ham radio operator, and he was really into tech, into computers, and so my teacher contacted my mother and, hey, my husband's getting rid of this Commodore 64. He's upgrading. Would you guys like to buy it? And we didn't have a lot of money, and my mom went out and bought it for me as a gift, and it was great. It was wonderful. And yeah, it kind of just went from there in various ways, various manners. But for information security specifically, because I spent a lot of time, I worked on PBXs. I worked in the cellular field as an RF technician and engineer. And then I went to work for the government. That was when I was in school. And then I went to work for the government after I joined the military. So there was kind of I think I hit the gap at just the right moment, excuse me. And I had an opportunity where a lot of the information technology was transitioning. So we had automation, we had tactical radios, we had all this stuff, right? But then there was this security component or element that had an underlying theme that then just kind of ramped up. And that course that I was talking about, it was a pilot course, so they did not have an MOS or military occupational specialty in the Army for security. At that, we had information operations or intelligence operations, and we had some other aspects, but information security hadn't really been stood up. And I had an opportunity to kind of be on the forefront of that. And so I took that, because knowing how things work and being in that element of like the nth degree of, oh well, this thing, is supposed to do this, but it does this, or it can do this, right? And then kind of spinning that on its head and saying, well, that has an unintended outcome that we could probably leverage or use, or that we could maybe defend against. We probably need to be aware of that and layer that defense or something. So that's where I got my initial start, was, like, if we want to say specifically information security, probably a little over a decade ago, just being presented the opportunity and going for it. A lot of trepidation, right? I was really nervous and scared because there was a lot on the line personally, and just leaned into it. And that's sometimes what you have to do, right? That's that risk aspect. Right. So,
what keeps you like? What's a project? What keeps you motivated? What keeps that passion? Like, what's something that you're working on the side?
You know me, I'm a builder, and so I love to kind of
just pets, no cattle.
That's right. No, it's just I don't like to keep cattle around, and I don't like I don't like to name things to make them pets. So with that, there's a lot of aspects to infrastructure as code that I play around with, Terraform, Packer, Ansible, and I like to kind of build things that have usefulness and value in certain areas to help people's lives easier. I guess information security aspects easier, not necessarily lives in general. And then outside of that, I do it full time, but I also do it on the side as well. So that's kind of my hobby. But another hobby that I alluded to is I love to work on things like in analog. I like working on automobiles. I have a couple I have 3 old vehicles that are in various stages of restoration. And I guess I feel like I'm talking to you, but this is more so for the the listeners. I have a 65 AMC Rambler that has a Toyota 1JZ GTE turbocharged engine in it, with the fully kitted 4-wheel disc brakes, Willwood, A340 transmission, Ford 9-inch rear end, the whole nine. I have a 64 Ford Fairlane with a 5-liter Mustang engine in it. And then I have a 68 Chevrolet C10 pickup truck that has, it's kind of old school. It's got a 383 stroker. And so I like to mess around with those, right? I love that because there's a gratification aspect that I'm getting from just working on those. Maybe it's brakes, maybe it's tuning via Tuner Studio. The fuel injected aspect of it and everything, or maybe it's just finishing up something and then going and taking that cruise, right? Where I'll go with my wife and we'll go grab dinner. Or we'll just go ride around, and that's what I like. And then. I know I'm saying this as a third thing, but it's really my first thing, and that's being involved with my children and with the community, and just really having positive experiences and outcomes there. I can't speak about that enough, whether it's just something as menial as track practice or soccer, or on the outside, right? Just having that moment with my children or with the other kids, or I was an assistant volleyball coach for my daughter's volleyball team, which did not work out well personally for me, being kind of a military-minded person, right? And this was a very loosey-goosey kind of volleyball league. So we did great. We won one game, but the self-esteem aspect of that coming out of it was phenomenal, and just everything that my daughter is now playing volleyball for school, and just being a part of that, right? And not having to set these mental goals that you try to achieve, and then being somewhat, I guess, guilty or feeling like you didn't contribute enough, or having that be your barrier to entry, where you're already thinking about what the possibility of what could go wrong. Just commit, right, and just have a good time at it. And then if you're coming in with positive energy and you're fully invested in this thing for good positive gains, everything around you is just going to work out, right? I truly believe that. So that is my hobby. First and foremost, is just being present, and this is really a testament to that, because I feel like everybody else is here doing that very same thing, and it's awesome.
Awesome. If somebody wanted to approach and talk to you, but they wanted to find commonality, clearly we've struck on a few.
Yeah.
Cars, if they walk up and say 383 stroker with a 6-pack, you're in. You're probably going.
I'm going to be probably a bit apprehensive at first, right? But how'd you hear that? What'd you know? Yeah. But
we're putting that out there right now.
Right, 100%. Absolutely. Come talk to me about that. I
you have a passion for cars?
Yes, I do.
You also do. You ready to throw down your domain for the car?
Oh, it's onejzrambler.com.
You want to check on previous progress and current progress and future progress.
I need to update that, and I'm about to get another one as well for the Fairlane. I have an affinity for domain purchases anyway.
It's like freaking potato chips.
That's
a problem.
Right. Just pick them up.
I can have one. No, I bought 5. What am I going to do with this? Nothing.
And when you close the bag, it's going to be stale later on anyway. Right. So you might as well just fully commit to that too.
Renew it for 5 years, then drop it.
Yeah, so cars, coffee, barbecue.
Oh yeah, smoking meat.
Yeah, and it's. Personally, you don't have to come up talking about brisket. We can talk about tofu. We can talk about
SmokeCon should be a thing, but it should be about smoking meat, not.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's a whole community here of just smokers, but barbecue smokers.
Yeah, I think we have to go to Colorado for some of the other.
You can get a card here. You just got to go.
Tell
them it's paying.
Fair.
Well, I appreciate you joining me in the SAINTCON Hallway. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Absolutely.
And hope to see you here again in the future.
Thank you so much, Pope. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.